Have you or a loved one struggled with depression or maybe mood swings to the point where you've wondered if you had a diagnosable disorder? Maybe you've considered, major depressive disorder or bipolar disorder as something, that should be considered. So we just want to use the whiteboard and kind of walk through an example so that you can, maybe assess the personal situation. So if you consider, just a normal average individual, we all have ups and downs. And so how do we determine if there's really something wrong with us? So in a normal lifestyle, we're all going up and down. You have this, good days, bad days, good days, bad days, good seasons, bad seasons. And, it's not going to perfectly look like this, but we could use this as an example for, what an average individual might experience. Now, when we're considering depression follows a similar pattern. It's oftentimes, if you just say like, maybe that line's normal, then maybe our lows go lower and maybe we don't go quite as high. Sometimes people, will have some times where they'll go up just as high as, their friends or family. They'll kind of go back to normal. Contrary to, sometimes a misunderstanding that people have, that people do go back to feeling like themselves after having major depressive disorder. So maybe if you're considering, where am I in this cycle? Maybe you have these really low lows and you also have like the higher highs, and you maybe question, maybe it's mood disorder, maybe bipolar disorder. What would that look like? Well, I'll use a different color to kind of illustrate this one, but maybe you would go higher highs and lower lows. Maybe it's going to be just as high, for bipolar disorder would be, just as high of highs sometimes as normal, sometimes a lot higher of a highs. And then maybe just as normal as, depressive disorder, sometimes lower, sometimes, not as low. It's going to be vary from person to person. But you can see each person has this cycle, though. It's normal for them or it's common for them, but what does it look like? So an exercise that I give people, to do if they're wanting to help regulate their depression or prevent sometimes those low lows, I say, be a learner of yourself. So we don't know, what goes on with everyone else, but we do know what goes on in our lives. And so be a student of yourself and track what your journey looks like. So a simple way to do this is each day, draw a number from 1 to 10, demonstrating your mood for the day. And you can do this several times in the day and figure an average, or you could do this once a day. There are apps out there that can help you track this as well. And then you can plot it and then try to learn, what do I look like whenever I'm up here and I'm really having a good day, and what's going on around here, right, whenever I'm about to take this dip. And as you learn about yourself, then you can, ask people for help. So for example, when someone is up here with bipolar disorder, they might be spending a lot of money. They might be super social, but then oftentimes at the peak of that experience, they will crash. Oftentimes they haven't slept for days and it catches up to them, and then they'll crash and they start to go down into this abyss where they don't talk to people. They don't communicate for a while. They might not get out of bed. And so if you're trying to help yourself, you start to learn, what does this look like for me? And what if instead of going all the way to the bottom, I could learn and recognize some symptoms in myself and stop and turn back up, go back up the hill instead of decelling all the way to the bottom. And the way that we do that is by observing ourselves and making observation and then making some changes. And so if you're interested in going through this process, we would love to hear from you, we'd love to hear about your struggles, the challenges maybe that you're experiencing. But as you take time to learn about your triggers and what happens when you're down, then you can, make a plan to help yourself so that you won't go down quite as deep. And maybe sometimes that means for bipolar disorder, knowing, what goes up must come down, so I don't want to ride up so high. So that will help keep me from going down. Now, a lot of times with medication, people don't want to take the medication for bipolar disorder because it takes off those high highs. And so there's an attraction to the happy feelings because sometimes it's been weeks since they've felt happiness or joy. And they don't want to run away from that. They want to hold on to that as long as they possibly can. But whenever we do that, sometimes we're borrowing from tomorrow. I'm not going to sleep right now, but we do have to catch up on sleep. If we steal it from today, we end up having to pay it back another day. And so learning those techniques that we kind of do without noticing is a really good, healthy way to get more control over our day to day. So if you'd love to chat more, we would be happy to speak with you to kind of think about maybe what some of your habits and styles are. And I hope that this has been helpful. Have a good one.